All right, guys. Francis Ngannou just won his return fight against Renan Ferreira. First round knockout. Look, you always wonder what a guy's going to look like when he's been away for a long time, especially in Francis's situation when he was dealing with so much personally. You know, sometimes it kind of works, right? Sometimes it kind of works. There was a lot of questions as to who Francis Ngannou would be after being out of the fight game in mixed martial arts for as long as he's been. There were questions. Who would Francis Ngannou be whenever he's dealing with the loss of his son Kobe, and how emotional that has to be for someone trying to compete on the world's grandest stage? I mean, I know it's not the UFC, but still PFL in Saudi Arabia, an arena that's familiar to him. You don't know what you get. Well, it was a resounding Francis Ngannou is still Francis Ngannou. Fight starts. Big leg kick by Francis. Spins Ferreira around. Ferreira lands a big leg kick of his own. Then, as we have come to see here lately in fighting, it's not just about Francis Ngannou knocking you out as it was before. Big Frank shoots a double leg on this dude. Remember Cyril Gane? He took Cyril Gane down. That's how he defended his championship in Anaheim before he left the UFC. Francis shoots a double leg, takes Ferreira down. Ferreira throws up a triangle choke. Francis defends and then goes to work with right hands. Punch, punch, punch. Ferreira goes flat. Fight ends. I'm in my house screaming. Because I wanted Francis Ngannou to win. The world wanted Francis Ngannou to win because of everything that he's gone to. And then a guy like going through those personal things, losing something as precious as a child, if you aren't rooting for him in the beginning, as a human being, you're rooting for him in there. So sometimes it works. You get the happy ending. Everything doesn't have to be like Coach Carter, the movie Coach Carter. Kid shooting a three-pointer to win the state championship. It gets blocked. You guys should watch it. It's a great movie. Samuel L. Jackson's the coach. But it doesn't always have to end like that. It can end with the guy that is the good guy getting his hand raised. Tonight we got that. We got Francis becoming the PFL super heavyweight super fight champion. We got Francis beating a guy in Renan Ferreira who was bigger than him, who was scary, who seemed dangerous. And if I'm being completely honest, I was worried. I was very worried when I watched these two come into contact. I was very worried when I saw those guys actually face off, when it seemed to get tense. I was worried. I was very worried. Because I know the emotional toll it takes on you when you are dealing with losing something like Francis lost. I know the toll it takes. Francis and I are friends. We spoke after this horrible tragedy. Francis spoke publicly about knowing whether or not he should come back and compete. Francis did this with a very heavy heart, but he also recognized, and he said it in his post-fight interview, he does this now for his son. So if Francis Ngannou wasn't scary enough, right? If Francis Ngannou wasn't terrifying enough as the baddest man on the planet, imagine him now with those motivations. With the motivations of carrying that extra, I've got to do this for this. Imagine how scary he is now. Those guys, Eric Nixick, Dewey Cooper, Francis Ngannou, I love watching them because it's not only a great coaching staff training a great athlete, but they're family. You could watch in the emotion that these guys showed after the fight. You watch Eric, he's crying, hugging Francis. Dewey's filming as he does after every fight, but he's crying the whole time. Those guys have done so much together. To watch them have that success through all the turmoil and the chaos and the emotions, it's great. I remember watching him in the boxing ring, watching those guys, and it felt like it was us. We had all made it. MMA had all made it. Francis had crossed over into the biggest fights in boxing. Tonight, it felt like I watched that same family come back home to mixed martial arts and accomplish something great through a hurricane of emotions and just the most. I don't think there's a situation that we can compare it to. But to watch him overcome like that was amazing for me. And as a friend of Francis Ngannou, as a fan of Francis Ngannou, it was awesome. So when you watch that, do you ask yourself, is Francis still the best heavyweight in the world? Is he? I don't know. I don't know that you can compare him to those guys. These two has too many holes in his game. But when you watch Francis, what he did tonight, he does to all those guys that he fought before, if he didn't do it in more impressive fashion. So I can't say that he isn't one of the best heavyweights in the world, because what did we see that showed slippage? What did we see that told us that Francis Ngannou isn't the guy he was when he left in 2022 when he was the UFC heavyweight champion? For my money, Aspinall, Francis, Jones, those guys all live in a bubble. I don't think that you could separate one from the other because he has not been competing in mixed martial arts. I think tonight, Francis cemented himself still as one of the greatest heavyweights in the world, if not the best heavyweight fighter in the world right now. Right now. By doing what he did in that octagon tonight, under those circumstances, against the opponent that he had, it would have been so easy for him to go in there tonight, and if things ever got hard, to kind of pack it in and go, I don't need this. I'm making more money than I ever made in boxing. I've got riches and spoils. I've got fame at a level that I never thought that I could accomplish. But instead of that, he went and got the job done and won. It was amazing to watch. I loved it. I loved watching that dude overcome. It was awesome. Go Big Frank. You're the man. And honestly, it's very hard to do what he is doing after leaving the UFC. UFC is a monster, man. It is the best, biggest fight organization in the world. It's hard to make a way outside of it. Francis Ngannou has somehow done that. And when we all told him, go back, run back, this isn't for you, he stood on his business. He went and made all that money in boxing, and now he's back in MMA as one of the best fighters in the world. So hats off to Francis Ngannou. He deserves it. Chris Cyborg also beat Larissa Pacheco in the co-main event. Guys, 49-46 across the board was kind of what you watched. That's the fight I watched. I think that Chris Cyborg, because she's been so dominant in her career, when a fight seems close, it's not really that close. It was like Amanda Nunes at the end of her career. When she beat Juliana the last time, she won every round and had like 2 10-8 rounds. But because Juliana's so tough, it seemed closer. We don't judge them based on their dominance. We have to judge them under the rules of the fight and the way fights are scored. And that was a pretty easy fight to score. And Chris Cyborg, 20 years she's done this thing, and now she's winning more titles. She's one of the greatest female fighters we've ever seen. Ever. So hats off to Chris for continuing to really move the finish line for what women want to accomplish in mixed martial arts. It's almost impossible. And I watched it. I watched Francis box. I watched Francis fight tonight. That tells you the star that Francis Ngannou is, because otherwise I would not have paid attention. I didn't watch other people, but I watched Francis Ngannou, and I watched Chris Cyborg. Those are two people that have done great in this career, man, especially when they aren't in the UFC. I don't know if I could have done the things that I did if I wasn't in the UFC. It's just too hard. It really is too hard. So those people should be commended for that. Guys, tremendous fight night. I mean, it was awesome to watch Francis compete. It was awesome to watch Cyborg compete. And it was awesome to see Francis overcoming a situation that's very difficult. So, Francis, Kobe's smiling down on you, man. He's smiling down on his father, knowing that his dad got the job done. And always go out there knowing that you're carrying that little angel on your shoulders and you got a little extra set of protection when you go into those octagons. So congrats, my friend. It was awesome to see. Guys, Francis again, world championship. Now the PFL super fight champ. Good job, my guy. Till next time, guys. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends about DC's YouTube channel. And I'm going to keep doing stuff like this. Also, thank you guys for watching 3 rounds last week. It was awesome. And next week, massive check-ins from the greatest fight night I've seen in a while. Holloway takes on Ilya Topuria. Till next time, peace, guys. Oh, balloons.